Hey, today we have who?
Jacob.
Is Jacob here today on Bali? How are you doing, Jacob?
Good, I'm doing good. And you?
Pretty good also. How do you like the Bali and Balinese vibes?
Oh my God, I'm loving it in Bali. Yeah, it's great. I think a lot of people already know, but my wife and I just had our second child, and actually we came to Bali to have a baby, and so things are great.
Yeah, awesome. I saw on the Twitter that you met some like Cosmos guys here already.
Oh yeah, yeah. The other day I met up with Cryptocito and a number of other Cosmos validators and a member of the Four Bowl team as well. Maybe he's a member of the Desmos team now. Not certain.
What do you think about Bali? Could it be like some place to for meeting of like crypto enthusiasts?
Actually, definitely. Bali seems to be full of crypto enthusiasts, and thinking about setting up a second notional base here. Looking at what I've been asking people actually, like what places on the island we can get multiple fiber connections and the best 4 and 5G coverage, because when we do the bare metal validation stuff, what we actually do is we set up, it's kind of like a closet actually.
I heard that it is like a kind of problem right here because they can't provide a proper connection without any ping.
So we had the same problem in Vietnam, and the actually this is sort of part of the notional origin story, how we got started. We were having that exact problem, and so I built, like, hand built a router, and the routers that you use to connect to the internet, they're little computers, right? And so I got this one really heavy black metal box that is capable of bonding the connections, and that got us through about the first year. And actually, I guess this is one thing I'd say to any validator, like enthusiast in POS, I suppose, is that, like, you really do want to try to control your systems. And in order to control your systems, you basically need to have them on site. I don't know of another decent way, because typically you have a key somewhere, right? Even if, say, you're using a remote signer. For the audience, a remote signer is a piece of software that it connects to a node and sends block signatures to it. It's like sitting adjacent to it. You could.
Would it be
Mhm.
possible to for non-tech guys to understand what you're talking right now?
I'm not sure. Probably not. Um,
We don't worry about non-technical guys today.
I mean,
Please continue.
okay, all right, I'll continue. So, um, even if you're using one of those, you 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 still have a key somewhere in the cloud. And I guess for the non-technical audience, is basically about cloud avoidance when it comes to validation. If you have,
Also about the key management.
yes, absolutely. Hey, do you know about the tombstoning? Because that was interesting.
Sure.
Yeah, the recent one.
It's not interesting.
It was. Oh my God.
No, it's not interesting for delegators.
Um,
I say it's like it's not interesting in case of lost funds.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, very true. But this one was really unique. Every single / in Cosmos history has it's been kind of bullshit. What has happened every single time previously is that the validator has made some kind of an operational error, and then the users lose their funds. But what happened this time was that the validator did make an operational error, but they got their keys stolen. And then there was a battle. The battle was amazing. You read about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like there was this battle between the guy who had stolen the keys and the original validator, and they were actually sending messages back and forth in transactions. And finally, the thief double signed. I suppose we're going like, way out of topic and stuff. So maybe I'll hand back to you. But yeah, that was interesting recently.
I just wanted to like learn something more about you, because I started making these videos to learn more about personality of people who are participating in Cosmos and the stuff related with them. But first guy who I want to be my first like speaker with me, it was Dimi.
Oh,
But
hell yeah.
yeah, but I got sick. We maybe we will have a call a little bit later. So let's talk a little bit about you, and
Sure.
could you tell us a little bit more about you, about your personality? Who are you? Where are you from? Some like
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I'm from Buffalo, New York. I probably have a really like weird career path. So
Buffalo is a kind of pizza, right?
Buffalo is a kind of wing. It's something you eat
Yeah,
with
buffalo
the
wing.
pizza. Yeah, exactly. And we actually do have our own style of pizza. It's excellent. The key to buffalo pizza is to char the pepperoni so that it makes a little cup. There are other keys to buffalo pizza too, such as having somewhat ridiculously thick crust. And the chicken wings though are, I would say, much more fantastic than buffalo pizza. So from Buffalo, New York, and like in high school, I started to work in a stock brokerage running their tech. And by the end of high school, I had put together like a small computer consulting business. Really just me, but like, I had a number of different clients.
You consulted about what?
Well, at the time it was CRM systems, actually, customer relationship management. So like these are the systems that would like tell a small or medium business, hey, you should send your client a letter at this time. And actually, a lot of those companies went out of business because of services like E-Trade that let you trade stocks online. I think the modern equivalent is like Robinhood. Oh, and I'm old. So I'll be 40 pretty soon, and so if any of this sounds dated, that's why. And while I was in high school, I got into Linux. So my dad had the job title webmaster, and he hired people to run Linux servers at a local college. And one of them introduced me to the operating system, gave me a CD to install it on my computer. I broke the computer. I think I broke my mom's computer too. And
Oh,
oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, you install a new operating system, you kind of format the hard drive, and I young, right? Didn't know as much. So anyhow, so like got into that, and for whatever reason, I still don't know the exact reason other than yeah, I do like history. I studied history in college. And she didn't really like my college, but I had a full scholarship to go there. So I ended up using that scholarship to study at other schools in other countries, and that was super amazing. So I spent a year in Italy, I spent a year in Ghana, and then I went back to Chicago to graduate. And so graduated and like went back to Buffalo, New York. Um, I found that wait, I probably just should have kept doing computers. Like, what am I going to do with this history degree? And so I bounced between doing that and sort of like looking at teaching, stuff you might do with a history degree, and finally ended up teaching for a while in South Korea, where I was teaching young kids English, and ended up then transitioning back into tech, working on software for actually medical professionals there to learn English, to study English. And then after that, to China, and this is where crypto begins. So while I was like probably one of the very earliest users of Bitcoin, except I did not use any Bitcoin. I'll explain real quick. I read the white paper, I downloaded the software. Probably not long after this stuff was released, I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world. Because like I was used to Nutella or Kazaa or whatever, and when I read that it was peer-to-peer money, I was expecting or like Napster, right? So these were all the early peer-to-peer applications, and what I was expecting was something that was fast, and I didn't understand the time intervals, so I didn't touch it again until when I was living in China and needed to use a VPN. Needing to use that VPN actually drove me to start to research all kinds of things. So I looked into Bitcoin. I found this thing called MadeSafe, and this I don't remember the exact order, but I do believe that MadeSafe, their ICO, was the reason I first bought Bitcoin. And so I did that. Obviously, it's many years later. MadeSafe says they're still working on the software, which I commend a lot. Maybe they're sitting on a giant stash of Bitcoins. I have no idea. But so what happened after that was really interesting, though, because crypto exchanges, I mean, I just thought they were incredible, and ended up just trading everywhere for a while. I can't say that there were really any massive profits other than, if you have Bitcoin over time, it'll do well, although I eventually managed to destroy that bag too. And so like, yeah, that's like my entry into crypto. Within a year of that, I had actually stopped teaching, moved to Shenzhen, China, and I guess began an obsession with sort of the same security questions that I work on currently, which all boil down to the fact I don't really trust hardware, I guess.
And for now, you're based in Vietnam, right?
Yep. So we have our office, the Brain Factory, in
Brain
Hanoi,
Factory,
Vietnam.
it's like a mind center.
Oh yeah, Brain Factory, Mind Center. There's a
Yeah.
lot of different terms that can
Well,
be
let's
used.
let's make a short pause right there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about? I want to ask you about history.
Mm-hmm.
What's the like most interesting historical event for you? And you was the teacher, right?
Yeah, yeah. But that's a very interesting question. So a lot of history is. I mean, what if it's not an event? What if it's a question?
um, maybe you had like maybe you was like excited when you learned about some kind of event, or maybe
Well, it's the Languedoc documents, but
yeah.
but but the Languedoc documents are almost just a question. So there was this French village where like the priests would keep detailed notes of every sin confessed to them. And what this actually became is sort of one of the clearest pictures into the lives of people in the European like middle/dark ages. And I guess that sort of stuff really interested me about history. Also, the study of ancient languages. I studied Latin some in high school and college, and like moving those texts because we have a lot of texts, right? But like understanding them in the correct context is really very challenging.
I think we can't understand it in the right context because it was like many years ago.
But we can try.
Yeah, at least we can try.
And really like so that's why I was like, well, what if it's more of a question? Because it's actually it was the trying in both cases, right? So like Languedoc documents, anything involving ancient texts or like all right, a very interesting thing to me was always the handwriting of monks, actually. So like the monks would copy, let's say, the Bible. The Bible's the classic example, but this happened with every mass-produced document until the Gutenberg printing press, right? And then the internet really accelerated what Gutenberg started. And then there's a history of information. Oh, I got one though. I got one. So, oh yeah, this one's fun. When did the internet start?
When did the internet start?
Yeah.
I think in like early 90s or 80s.
Oh, so as a military research project, the 60s, but get this, the internet started around 1850, 1860. Telegraph. The telegraph is a binary system.
First version.
Exactly. And
internet's this net.
yeah, so I imagine you've heard of like the concept of accelerationism. Um, and if we really look at the communication systems that began with telegraphy, which was also, run by how shall we say this, a class of very nerdy folks, right?
Nothing changed.
Yeah, exactly. And however, though, what we can see is that by increasing sort of like the density of our communication networks, we dramatically accelerated progress in society because people could reliably transmit information. Oh man, maybe this all goes back to your original question. What's the most interesting thing about history? Well, technology has followed really an exponential line, except for like the only time that tech ever really faltered was, I would say, the European Dark Ages. Sometime after the fall of the Roman Empire. However, the world is a world, and that doesn't mean that happened all over the planet, right? It just happened in that one place. But today, as long as we don't screw over the internet, which frankly I think is sort of on the table now, which is scary, then like we'll continue to mutually advance technology at an incredible speed. And I do think that like the telegraph was sort of the first spark of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I also think the same. But I haven't thought about that previously. But It looks really like a spark in my mind right now.
So that was something I loved to teach. Actually, when I was formally teaching history, I was teaching American history, and so the history of technology in frontier America it's amazing. Um, Actually, the history industry is quite interesting too. Uh, so, like, you go from the simple telegraph systems to early stock tickers, which actually printed on paper tape, um, and we had those by, like, I think the 1920s. And I mean, what you can see is this progression in the quality of transmission of information, the trust level of that information, and I suppose is maybe one of the things that drew me into blockchain, right? Because with Bitcoin, certainly Bitcoin, possibly Ethereum, possibly other chains, there's the possibility to reliably transmit information over time, maybe for the first time ever.
Um, yeah, and Bitcoin is like a first. We discussed it yesterday on our community call that Bitcoin. So one speaker told that Bitcoin is something that should be changed, and it's not really sustainable in the future because validators, miners won't be interested in continuing of decentralization and so on and so on, because halving will decrease their income and so on. So he like addressed us to Chia's, you know Chia?
I do actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and
It's how I got into Cosmos. Long
yeah,
story. Well, it's how I got into validating Cosmos. But
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
you obviously had to like have to.
I
Uh,
built a plotter and then I canceled. I decided not to do it, and that was my first validator machine.
okay, so
Yeah.
I just want to finish my
Oh yeah, yeah.
thought, and Bitcoin will not be like super like sustainable because miners won't be interested in continue of this thing. And he addressed us to Chia that it's like they made something different in tokenomics.
Mm-hmm.
So they made like they stopped halving, or they have plans to stop halving events, and then continue to have a like same emission every year, every like epoch. So uh, it's about Bitcoin, but for now, it's very sustainable, I think.
So I don't think Bitcoin should change. I think its fundamental value is.
Yeah, I said I forgot to say about it, and I said that maybe Bitcoin is the thing that shouldn't be changed. Only one thing. At least we should have only one thing that shouldn't be changed. Like many like I think governments of different countries able to change the history.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to change, but Bitcoin should be like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, this is correct, and it's one of the things that makes it so exciting. It really it seems to be. Now, I was only 13 years old, so 50 years from now, this could prove to be, you know, terribly, terribly wrong. But because it's 14 years old, I just realized. Anyhow, um, like Bitcoin seems to be a really, really reliable anti-censorship mechanism. So in general, I'm against adding new features to it. Taproot was very interesting though. I kind of think that Taproot and these BRC20s and these what do they call them, ordinals.
you are telling right now about to like make like it's efficient to push Bitcoin's efficient to a new level, but not change like a core like core stuff, right?
Yeah, Taproot was basically just a change in the types of cryptographic primitives supported by Bitcoin, and then people used it to build applications on top of Bitcoin. Very similar to ERC-20s. So like now you can have shitcoins on Bitcoin, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
That I mean that was possible since colored coins were introduced, but my understanding is that ordinals are it's a much more advanced version of that, and I guess fundamentally better. So, um, okay, will it remain? I used to mine Bitcoin, 2017 to 2019, and I'm not really active in the mining business anymore, but I'm a shareholder, and I I don't think that miners will lose interest, but there is a bet here. Okay, and the bet is that Bitcoin continues to be highly valuable. And I've read recently that the cost of mining a coin may go up to about 40,000 per coin at the next halving. I also don't know if those calculations are correct. Those calculations are actually really, really hard to make, and they're highly site specific. So each physical location will have its own cost profile, equipment profile, energy cost. There's really a lot that goes into determining like the cost of producing one Bitcoin. And my expectation though is that integration of Bitcoin with proof of stake networks and stuff is actually going to be what kicks off the next set of really large events in Bitcoin's history.
Only Bitcoins, not also in the history of these coins which would be integrated with Bitcoin.
Well, no, I think it'll be mutual. Actually, I don't. Have you spoken with Babylon Chain at all?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so I've had the good fortune of speaking with them like a ton.
But it's interesting.
Yes, it really is. So, I mean, I think that it successfully solves several really important proof of stake problems. Um, so
Let's count them.
let's count them. Okay. Well, first of all, you have long range attacks. Okay. By taking the block headers of Cosmos chains, making a cryptographic summary, and then writing that cryptographic summary to the Bitcoin blockchain, you gain an additional ability to verify the accuracy of the ledger over time, which right now is really hard. I mean, imagine syncing an entire 12 gigabyte Osmosis archive node, right? Well, that's, I mean, or sorry, 12 terabyte Osmosis archive node. Well, that's really what you have to do, at least if you want like the entire transaction history, even though a state sync kind of you get the same result. The trouble is you didn't verify every intermediary step. So it's possible that somewhere in there could have been fraud because when you state sync or use like one of those snapshots, you're you're only looking at the tip. Now the next thing is there are a bunch of infrastructure questions that relate to those snapshots and their their provability. Polkachu, I'm so sorry, you're so great. Um, the Polkachu snapshots that everybody uses. Uh, Polkachu, I'm not accusing you of doing this. If Polkachu went evil, okay, Polkachu could execute a long range attack, I think, on a number of networks. Polkachu, it's just because of the quality of your work. Um, and and so like basically because this one provider is so good, because I mean this, like I'm not saying that Polkachu's out doing long range attacks. What I'm actually saying is they've been so effective and do such high quality work that they dominate the snapshots that Cosmos validators use, and Babylon Chain solves that. So long-range attacks. You have infrastructure verification concerns. And then, I mean, I assume that Babylon will eventually be used to get other types of proofs of data from the Bitcoin chain and then bring them into Cosmos, potentially Bitcoin itself. I know that Nomic is working on that too, and I think that right now that's not in like the immediate term plans of Babylon. They're going to work just on security. Now, flip it around. Okay, those are the benefits.
Sorry for interrupting. I
Yeah,
just don't want to forget this point.
sure.
Do you
Please.
know, is Nomic active in development?
Yes. So Mapham. He just, whose name I know, but I don't remember, unfortunately. Might be Matt. Oh, anyhow.
Nomic's contributor.
Yeah, exactly. The lead Nomic dude recently posted an update, and as far as I know, they're just doing slow, cautious software development, which is definitely the right way for a.
It's self-funded, right?
I think so. I think that they did raise some money.
From what?
I think other Cosmos founders, but I'm not even sure of this. But I seem to recall some mention of it.
And yeah, it's okay. But do we really need like a Bitcoin in Cosmos?
Yeah, we do. So we need. All right.
And one more question.
Yeah.
Following. Will it make possible for other chains which are connected to Cosmos to have Bitcoin from Cosmos if Nomic will bridge it like natively? For example, would it possible to have like a Bitcoin on Polkadot?
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, this is what makes Nomic so compelling. Is that okay? I must divert the topic for one moment to the miracle of IBC.
No. It's like a little bit for later,
Okay.
or we can speak about it without.
Okay.
Like
Well, here's the thing. These are related. So you're asking about like, do we need Bitcoin and Cosmos? Yes, definitely. And it's actually related to the light clients that we use. So miracle of IBC is we've lost no money, and I'll just leave the summary at that.
Okay.
Like there have been literally zero losses. That's crazy. It's amazing, and there have been so many transactions now. And so why we need Bitcoin is that, first of all, Bitcoin is sort of like, in my opinion, it's the root of value in all cryptocurrency. You know, Ethereum wouldn't exist without Bitcoin. But then more importantly, I think that we need connections to Bitcoin. We need to be able to get data from that chain. We need to be able to store data in that chain, because when we do that, we're dramatically increasing the security of our own work. Just because I do really believe that after, say, 6 blocks, so on average 1 hour, a Bitcoin transaction, like when it's confirmed, it's confirmed. Well, let's say 6. I don't think there's ever been a reorg deeper than 6 blocks. And so, yeah, my answer to your question is a hard yes. We do need it.
Yeah, for sure. And also liquidity. I think in a Bitcoin locked too much liquidity for that is needed in like chains like Cosmos, Polkadot, and so on, because we have a lack of liquidity on even on DeFi.
So, yes, although it's not like my primary concern. Maybe the primary concern, right?
Not really. It's like just as addition for your words.
Yeah. So, but check this out though. It's right now you can get Bitcoin liquidity against whatever on many centralized exchanges. So I guess what I'd change about how you phrased it is I would say we need it for DEX liquidity. Right now, Bitcoin is only really liquid on centralized exchanges, and I think Thorchain as well.
Not really. I tried to swap.
Oh, really? Okay, what
s-
happened? Tell me your user
I
experience.
I tried to swap a little amount of Atom to Bitcoin for native Bitcoin, but they have some kind of like I don't know this mechanism work. So you send some kind of your Atom with Memo to some address,
Hmm.
and then from their address they will send some kind of Bitcoin to you. It's not like a really cross chain. It's like a kind of some uh, mechanism to do it. But
Yeah, there's is quite unique. You're right.
yeah, it wasn't really efficient. I had like a 20% slippage for a little sum of like $100.
Oh, yeah, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't really good. But when they just started this product, it was like a liquid and so on. Maybe it's like because of like market conditions at this moment.
I think they got hacked at some point. Um,
Also, it's possible they were like hacked several times, but they continue development.
yeah, and so this is why we need Bitcoin and Cosmos, and why. I mean, I really wish that teams building exchange products and bridge products would really stop relying on multi-sigs. Um, like,
Why we have to?
why do we have to? Well, there are great question. At present, without the multi-sigs, um, it's incredibly hard to make a bridge, say, from Ethereum to another chain.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so all of these different, bridging products, even Axelar, unfortunately, they, are creating these contracts. Well, Axelar says they're upgrading. There's a deadline. It's July 23 for them.
It's something new for me.
Oh, yeah.
They're really operating on the multi-sig.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I mean, the chain's not a multi-sig. The ETH contract is on an upgradable multi-sig based proxy contract.
It's like it's a little bit simple, but like reliable. It works.
Well, the trouble is when the multi-sig gets compromised somehow. And unfortunately, I would say that probably the most active compromiser of multi-sigs globally it's the North Korean military. Um, they're incredibly good at this. They have a military unit dedicated to um, to breaking different crypto products, sucking all the value out, and then exfiltrating the funds. And they've grown incredibly advanced at it to the point that I've read that crypto fraud or crypto theft, I should say, represents about half of that country's foreign exchange. Um, so like that's the reason to avoid multi-sigs. Now you ask why do we need them? Well, I guess we don't. Actually, I'll break out another Cosmos project. Gravity Bridge does not use a multi-sig. They have a non-upgradable, intensely audited contract on Ethereum, and so far it has not broken. Gravity is. I, I have felt for a while that they are quietly winning bridging to ETH because they built a very simple and elegant solution. In fact, on the ETH side, there's more value being secured than the market cap of the Gravity Bridge chain, and that's actually a little bit dangerous. Somebody could potentially buy lots of Grav and attack the chain that way because if you hit 2/3, you can arbitrarily change state on a Cosmos chain. But I think that attack probably doesn't work because they'd have to drive up the price dramatically in order to do it.
This action might really potentially really might to attract more attention for Cosmos.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I don't think that like I think getting to 66% would prove to be, I don't know if it would be impossible, but really hard. And then you would likely drive up the price of Grav above the price of the assets you're trying to secure, is kind of my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. So the think here the reason for these multi-sigs though, convenience. It's a lot less difficult to build a multi-sig bridge than it is to do something like IBC. There are a number of teams working on IBC to Ethereum. Composable is one of them, and they just finished up IBC connections to the Polkadot ecosystem. I've been stunned at that one, actually. I had no expectation that it would move and grow so quickly.
Strangelove Ventures also working, yeah?
Yeah, so I really like that. That product is a collaboration between Composable, Strangelove, and Notional. So
I also want to add right here about the thing is we discussed it with Vladi from POSTHUMAN about the beautifulness of Cosmos and the Polkadot, that it is like a place, but the Cosmos is like a more better example of kind of bunch of people that really want to be here, not because of being paid, but they just they just love to be here.
Yeah, oh definitely, dude. That I mean, this is one of the things that really pulled me in is that extreme infrastructure focus. I'll tout Jaquan's original vision, which is indeed like one of the things that pulled me in, which was like he wanted a way to trade Bitcoin securely after the Mt. Gox attacks. And this led to a whole bunch of, it was a chain reaction in his mind. And, it led to this focus on the infrastructure layer that just makes a tremendous amount of sense. And I do think that that's what attracted all the contributors. Yeah.
Let's make a short introduction of the things that you are currently doing. You are founder of Notional. Notional, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it?
What is it? Well, there's a brain factory, a mind center, an R&D lab. So we were in the beginning more of like a validator. What happened really quickly after we started was that we needed to solve problems in order to relay. There were a bunch of performance issues, and we started to work on those. And then we started to collaborate with other teams on those. And we began to validate more chains, and eventually what this led to was becoming sort of like a very engineering focused, so software engineering focused.
Are you a CEO?
Yeah, yes I am.
How good are you at CEO position?
At CEO position? Well, okay. How good am I at that? I don't think there's a way to rate this other than metrics, right? If we use the metrics, I'm real good. So metrics. Revenue keeps increasing.
How many percent you have?
Our team is 30 now.
Your team is 30, and
Yeah.
what do you think your employees think about you?
What do I think the employees think about me? Well, I mean, so that's actually a very interesting question. I try to be a teacher,
Let's live in the
but
comments.
we'd need to ask. We would need to ask them actually, and that's something I'm kind of interested in doing. Not so much about myself, but about their stories. So, like, most of we have 17 shareholders. A lot of our employees aren't employees. Um, what I mean by that
I'm
is,
asking what they actually think about you, like in about your how good are you on the CEO position? On that aspect, maybe they able to make something better than you, for example. Maybe they think right like that.
I don't know. I mean,
Let's make a like poll or quiz
you could.
for them.
I mean, you certainly could. I don't actually know. I evaluate performance for myself basically based on customers. Indeed, there is a team happiness survey. Uh, Team members feel that they're learning,
Notional team, are you happy?
growing, um,
Are you growing?
and getting new opportunities. What I actually wanted to do though, and I think would be really cool. So there was this guy Kang who, well, he basically started to follow me around everywhere. This is He's a co-founder, and uh, this is how he became a co-founder. Actually, um, I'd like to bring him out here to do one of these. In fact,
I also we discussed previously a little bit about the history of the internet invention and bringing it to our lives. And looking back, what was your first crypto experience when you just only met crypto first time? Your first interaction.
I think technically I got rugged.
I
'Cause,
get.
yeah,
How
I
was your
mean,
experience? I get rugged.
yeah. Well, I mean, like my first experience was buying made safe coin. So I believe that I got rugged.
Uh, how it was? What was it your like biggest like mess up in crypto or
Oh well, the biggest mess up was probably deleting. Well, not deleting. I locked myself out of a substantial Bitcoin wallet. Well, it wasn't substantial at the time, but now it is because it started in 2013. So that's got to be the largest one. I
it may be related not really with only like losing funds? Maybe you had like some kind of opportunity and you didn't use it or some kind of that.
oh well, that's losing funds too. If you think about it. Um,
Yeah, it is.
um, I mean, possibly not getting involved in ETH. Um, I I didn't get involved in ETH early on. Um, and I had a bunch of opportunities to do that. And yeah, this losing funds definitely.
uh Add please 2 words here about your background in the different crypto projects. You told me about some kind of project you participated already, some kind of like with but Bit, yeah,
Bit
Bit
shares.
shares.
Yeah.
You was like a head of development or what?
Oh no. So Dan Larimer was the head of development. No, at the time I was just like a pleb user. Um, and I did work with Dan for like a couple of weeks. And on Steemit, another project that he built. Let's say it was not really a very good fit. Um, but I stayed in touch with him for quite some time. I guess BitShares was probably the first time I really got like under the hood in crypto systems, and then Steemit much more so. And then I became discontent with Steemit. I wanted to change consensus actually to Tendermint. Um, I had a very significant, um, yeah, very significant discontent with the lack of finality in Steemit's consensus. So I wanted to move it to something that actually like does finalize. And only Tendermint really did. This is how I met Jay. It's also
You
how
started Cosmos with Jay?
oh, I didn't start Cosmos with Jay, but I
No, no,
mean,
no, no. I mean, you started your journey in Cosmos
yeah,
with Jay.
yeah, I did. Yep. Uh, Actually, I got to tell you, man, like I wish he hadn't. Something has changed, and it seems to have to do with like really hating Jewish people. I don't really get it, but that's my read on it, and it's more than that though. It's a good deal more than that. But I think other people who worked with him very early on also have a really really positive assessment of working with him in the early years. I mean, I certainly do. I know Zucky does. I think Jack does as well. Although Zucky worked with him much longer ago, but I think Bucky does. I think like there's this universal assessment
It's like
that
a Cosmos OGs, OGs, OGs of OGs.
well yeah like well because we were all kind of brought together by Jay, and that was a huge accomplishment of his. Um, the way that I met him was I was just going through GitHub looking at consensus mechanisms that were written in Go specifically.
And
And
it's really interesting. I, I also want to like join the movement, to jump in the train, and learn like more about you, about the history of Cosmos, and I already know something,
hmm hmm
and what kind of problems Cosmos could solve, and etc. etc. But we will discuss it a little bit later.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, man.
and also to add a little bit here. Yesterday we had a like conversation with a like also I already told about him, guy from very big like Russian speaking community of like crypto enthusiasts. He have like a kind of 200,000 of followers on YouTube,
hmm
and he said, we asked him why he decided to make his product on Cosmos, on top of Cosmos, and he said that Cosmos is like a only one layer, layer 0, layer 1 project that made everything that he uh, proposed in his white paper and roadmap from 2017. No one did, but
Yeah,
but
that's very
yeah,
true.
yeah,
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 yeah.
but Cosmos did, and why do we need to learn how to make a blockchains when we could like use everything that Cosmos already built? We need to make a product, we need to make a project, not like how not we don't need to learn how to make blockchains. Guys from Cosmos already did it.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, this actually is the big draw, and that's even like what Jay taught me. 2016, like around summer, I think was the time I met him, and that vision of like having the chain infrastructure, then plugging the app into it is really really key, and it shaves so much time off of development. But there's one more thing. This is actually why I skipped Ethereum, by the way. I skipped Ethereum because I didn't want to be in somebody else's system. I wanted to have, you know, one that the community of users controls. And while maybe Cosmos accomplished this to, let's say, varying degrees, depending on the chain, right? I actually do believe that's more or less the case. Like, we actually accomplished that. If you're writing contracts on Ethereum, you can't really change you can't change what Ethereum is. So
Yeah.
your options are limited to what you can do in Solidity. And in Cosmos, maybe a really good example of this actually is DYDX.
I also heard the same point already. Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It's really good that you could like change something, but you can change Ethereum. So because of that, many projects are considering Cosmos as
Yeah.
the main technology for their products.
Yeah. Like DYDX went so deep in the engineering to build what they've built. Basically, like, their product.
Do they need to be so deep if they want to make like their
Actually, yeah. If they
okay?
want to make it really good, so here's an interesting analogy or comparison. In a few days, Osmosis will upgrade to V16. Okay, and originally, mm,
It's long awaited.
yes, it is. But like, I guess here's sort of like I want to trace the evolution for you to give you an idea of mm, why Cosmos matters to the Osmosis product. So I would say that on V1, you could have done almost all of that on Ethereum. In fact, it was based on Balancer, right? However, no IBC on ETH. And so it couldn't connect to all these chains that really, really have their own agenda. On Ethereum, you have Ethereum's agenda. I don't think you can follow another one. But in Cosmos, Akash can go and do Akash. Sentinel can go and do Sentinel. And like somebody, really good example. There was this Armenian guy, and he made a chain called Arcadian One Validator. And he connected it to Osmosis. And, he was selling tokens and stuff. I was the relayer. I thought, because at the time, there were a lot of chains onboarding to Osmo, right? So I set up one node and I, relayed. I wasn't validating. I had no idea there was only one validator. And then one day he changed a setting, crashed the whole chain. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to relay anymore. And I'm like, what happened though, dude? And he's like, well, I was the validator. The validator? But here's the thing. I don't think that guy was tremendously skilled. But he pulled off his own chain. Now, sure, he blew it up. Yeah, it was low quality,
Let's make a pause for it.
but that's how easy it was. Like that, and you could too. AIB, the company, they have their product Ignite. You can make a chain in 15 minutes. Now, getting the validators, deploying that chain, planning its tokenomics, all that other stuff, much, much longer than 15 minutes, right? And I think that what the Arcadian gentleman did is he just did the 15 minutes and then connected it to Osmosis.
They had a good logo actually.
Dude, yes, exactly. You remember them? Okay.
I remember it only because of like a very high inflation rate. It had like a 100,000 APR on
really?
yeah, on the restake, and because of that I remember.
Ah, wait, why was there a restake on it? I don't know, but
Restake is
yeah, well, like there was only ever one validator, I think. He could have like brought it back. I don't know. I haven't spoken to him in a year or two, but like that, it's exactly that. So like you have a fully functioning chain, without really doing much. Notional has a product to make one too. So you have, the Ignite option, you have the nursery option. And Nursery is the one that we made because it's baby blockchains. I wrote a paper once called Baby Blockchains.
Okay.
Eh.
I had a like conversation with cyber founders
Mm-hmm.
with Dimas Starodubtsev, Valery Litvin, and Serge Nedashkovsky, and they are they every of them are really focused to bring something new in crypto space.
I know.
Yeah, and they are like working on this point. It's like a not a like trivial thing. It's something that takes time and some ideas and stuff. And do you want to make something, or maybe you did something already for crypto? Maybe you have some ideas, or like somebody not really want to like make something special. Some people like want to like make their job, make their like some kind of just earn money or something like that, but they have too many different ideas,
So I mean, really,
inspiring ideas.
yeah. Well, my focus is kind of on statelets in terms of what interests me. So, you know, I think that Cosmos governance is way better than nation state governance, and I think that no, I think we can do it. I don't know precisely when or how, but I already had a project called Dig that was, that was our aim. It still is the aim. Dig is, I don't know if you saw my tweet about it yesterday. It's not really in a good state right now. There are,
It's in a dig state.
well, no, there are technical issues with it. During the time of Dragonberry, like the actual time of it, I was on an airplane and all
Oh,
it,
Dragonberry is like a issue of.
yeah, it was a, you know, fairly serious bug in the Cosmos stack. I made the decision to ask the validator, say, "Hey guys, you're cool that let's just go down and let's apply the patch like when I'm not in an airplane." And that was a terrible decision because the chain is still suffering from a set of technical issues that date back to that choice. And but like if you're asking like what's the thing that you really want to see happen, it is exactly that. It's like the ability to self-govern, the ability to also get beyond tokens. I mean, tokens are cool and stuff. I like them, but land, and what could be better as a land registry than a blockchain due to its permanence, right? And then also,
You mean some like world like related assets?
yeah, exactly, bingo.
Yeah, real world assets on the blockchain, like tokenized, like that, right?
Well, no, I don't want to tokenize things. Well, in this case,
Yeah,
I
you just want to like make a registration of them like a what?
well, so okay. First of all, a piece of land, right, can be an NFT.
Yeah, it's
Um,
okay.
uh, and then that's tradable.
But how
But
to meet how to meet compliance and everything this
well,
stuff?
so actually, this is the great question. No, this is the massive question. This is the reason. I, I don't know if you know this. Ukraine had basically like the world's best crypto policies pre-war, and I think they were in place for about 3 months. When the war started, they entered martial law, and those laws also were suspended. That was going to be our first market, and so obviously, that didn't work. That was a huge economic blow to the Dig project. But basically, I think that in order to handle compliance for real on-chain real estate transactions, all you really need is okay. There are two routes. One of them is more extreme. One is less extreme. So In the less extreme route, you're integrating with some countries' land registry. So right now, when you buy a piece of property, you register that with the state, and it sits, in a computer or on a piece of paper somewhere, and that's that. The idea is to get that land registry onto a public blockchain. And the reason that you might do that is that at that point, well, one, those records are much easier to access. Maybe a lot more importantly, you can rapidly update those records. Right now, that is a slow and tedious and expensive process. But like, what if somebody wanted to sell like only the pool? Okay, you could.
It would be possible for with this.
Well, yeah, if you're able to update the land registry automatically, then the pool just becomes another NFT, and then somebody can legally own the pool and only the pool, right?
I don't want to have someone around my pool, for example.
Well, I mean, what if you do? What if you would like to do that, right? Or in the case of developing a new area, and actually, this now we're getting into the more extreme example. Place that's not really settled. You have bare land, right? And let's forget the government in this case, right? Let's say you either privately own that land, the chain privately owns that land with enough force so that they can develop, whatever they'd like to on it, and somehow you can self-govern, or you've found that magic ungoverned plot of land, right? I realize that's an assumption, but I actually do believe that this will happen because of efficiency. I was saying to somebody the other day that I think that we just have to get to the place where we're a couple of times better than traditional governments and corporations. And when we are a couple of times better, and by the way, I think we're already better now, we might even be a couple of times better now, then naturally people are going to they're going to demand this. Because, I mean, how many governance votes have you participated in Cosmos?
Me personally?
Yeah, hundreds, right?
In many of them.
Yeah. And can you think of one time?
Yesterday I wrote on Osmosis proposals and on Juno also.
Me too. And I can't think of a single time where somebody cheated the votes.
Not really, but maybe some kind of like, I believe everyone remember like a drama of, like Rina said, like we like second day in a row repeat her phrase like DPS drama per second.
Sure.
In Cosmos, but it means that Cosmos is like alive. There are many like views,
Yep.
different points of view, and so on. So about you remember the controversial like proposal like 16 on Juno, and it won't be cheated, but we heard something like Takumi paid for like votes or something like that, but it can be changed like under the hood.
Yeah, you can't check for that stuff, but also in the real world you can't check for that stuff, right? It's really hard to work out the bribery, but in the real world there are countless examples of cheating the actual election, right? Countless examples of like where there was a vote, people vote one way, but then it's decided another way because they stuffed a bunch of additional papers in the box or whatever it is.
Oh,
yeah. But that doesn't happen in these systems. The choices are really pretty precise, and that, I guess what I'm saying is governance is a product or service. And I don't think that most countries are doing a great job of it. I certainly don't feel that way about my own country, for example.
I think countries not really interested in such kind of solutions because they can like add several more papers in that box.
Yeah, of course.
And because of that, we don't have any country with like a blockchain based like governments or something
Yeah.
kind of that.
But it's going to happen.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and also IBC is so well suited for this. It's a conversation that we had so much early on that we sort of let fade into the background. That was like, well, I Cosmos, one of the very, very early visions was like self-governing regions, right? And I really want to make that happen.
And it at the same time it's like sovereign.
Exactly. And it's connectable.
Yeah,
so these self-governing regions would also have a really easy time of creating their own currencies, moving value between each other, and communicating securely.
I would add only one point to that.
Mhm.
And at this moment we are like explaining Cosmos for the people that are not really involved. And it's like a very good explanation. It's like a countries connected to each other,
Definitely.
where you could like swap your euros to dollars without any like entities. And it's like it 1 euro would cost $1 in the other country, because like it's equal. You will have same amount, same liquidity in the other blockchain, other country.
Yeah.
And it's like a vision of Cosmos Polkadot to bring liquidity very easy and move it very easy across the different like entities.
Yep, definitely agree. And I just feel like that this will naturally happen, and I don't know where or exactly how, but that's something I'm actively like searching for.
It will be started in some like crypto like friendly country, maybe somewhere. Do you know that Serge from Citizen Cosmos is currently doing some kind of stuff on Madeira? It's
no.
Just you just have to ask, because he's like he rented a big space for like crypto center, and he's doing some kind of
Madeira.
Yeah.
Lit is going to Madeira. I'll make that connection.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's also in maybe if somebody's looking to this video currently right now, and on 19th of July you would able to meet every cosmonaut in Bali.
Very true.
Yeah, on Atom Bali event. So join the movement also. And so or I will make a video a little bit later about this event. I'd love to have some kind of recording from this event. So
definitely.
Could you explain what is Cosmos SDK and IBC for me? But I'm like 8-year person.
Cosmos IBC, like you're 8 years old.
No. Cosmos SDK, then Cosmos IBC.
Okay. SDK, like you're 8 years old. Hi.
It is like Legos.
I mean, it is. It's very much like Legos. It's so you have systems of machines, and you want to build things on top of them. The SDK is the components that you need to build those systems.
I can get. I'm 8 years old.
Yep.
What is
now once you have the system together, which is many computers talking to each other all the time.
You could create.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So we have, let's say that this is a computer, this is a computer, this is a computer, and these computers are all talking to each other, and they are separate It's their own system, and the people who work on this system can make any change as long as everybody who uses this computer, because it becomes sort of just one computer. You have 4 computers, but they really become effectively just one machine. As long as all of the users agree, you can change this machine how you want to over time.
So
And
we can like flip them if
yeah,
everybody agree.
absolutely. If everybody agreed, you can turn all things over. And then the thing is that with the SDK, people started to build these. So over here, you have one network, okay? And then you have another. And they started, they were playing with their Legos, and it's not connected to this. This is not connected to this. They learned that there were different ways to connect these systems, but none of them were safe. So somebody might try to send a text message to somebody over here in this village, and everybody can read it, or it even gets changed along the way. But what Cosmos IBC provided was a safe way to actually link the system. So this, we could think about this as Cosmos IBC. And that lets the two things communicate to each other easily and, most importantly, safely. When you're using IBC, after you've built your community computer, you're able to actually pass messages to another community computer safely.
And this message would be like equal when it will come out from this one and come here.
Yes, and it'll be the same.
Yeah.
And this computer will know that this computer received the message and did things with it. There's a thing called a callback. So the message is sent out, and it's sent over to here. Hey, we got it. And over to here. Hey, we got it. And then finally, hey, we got it. And then at this time, that message is cleared from this group of computers to 5 back and forths.
I think that's great. It's like incredible for people who will like watch this video. It is a good example how to explain what the Cosmos is, what the IBC is, and it is not necessary to know all the tech stuff to like explain how it works. And it's like beautifulness of Cosmos, and it works for it was made, in my vision, it was made for people to like communicate.
Yes, absolutely.
What do you think? I also wanted to like discuss a bit about recent hack.
Written hack?
Yeah.
What is that?
Recent hack.
Oh, okay. Which one?
Latest one for like, I don't remember the exact name of the project. It was hacked several days ago. Bali or some kind of that.
Oh, I think it was called multi-chain.
Also, multi-chain was exploited.
Oh, okay.
As well.
But you're talking about Poly, and
it's okay. It's all the examples are good for speaking about IBC.
that's very true. Actually, they're sort of the same thing.
Hackers stole more than like 600 millions from one of the project, and no one like sent from IBC.
Yep.
How it's possible, and why IBC is some kind of interesting for projects? Why you don't need to build like your bridge, your own bridge?
So IBC demands proof. That, I think that's the biggest difference between IBC and other technologies. So we can be over here, and basically, okay, let's talk the whole IBC lifecycle. It'll take a second. It is fairly technical. So you have a chain, you have another chain, and a light client is the summary of the state of the chain that can be proven with math. So like at this point in time, everything is correct. A relayer will first read the state of chain A, and then write the state of chain A to chain B. It'll read the state of chain B, and it'll write the state of chain B to chain A. And once that is done, you have what's called the client layer complete. Now, the next step is to do the connection layer. Okay, so basically the relayer will initiate a connection on top of the client. One client can have many connections. And so basically, okay, open the connection, and there are a few acknowledgement messages as well. After that, you have the channel. Now, the channel is the application layer protocol. The client provides security, the connection provides the actual connection between the chains, and the channel do things like you move tokens over a channel, for example.
Yeah, relayer.
Yep. Well, the relayer sits between the chains. The channel, so IBC is three separate key pieces of software. Clients at the bottom. They handle proof. And actually, this is what prevents the hacks. So periodically, go back to, let's say we have here a client, a connection, and a channel, right? Well, these are actually layers that depend on each other. So, for example, if the client is not kept up to date, because that's the security proof between the two chains, if the client isn't kept up to date, then the channel will eventually close, typically after 2 weeks. The lifetime
Automatically?
Yes, yeah, that's correct. That's why we have to use governance to set a client to update a client after it's expired, because what you're actually saying is like when you're creating the first clients, okay, they mutually trust one another because they can prove the states. So A can prove B, B can prove A, right? However, if there's no client update for a couple of weeks, the clients will expire, and then the stakeholders have to approve an update of the client for the channel to go live again. And the reason is that there's a human trust assumption when you replace a client in IBC.
What do you think in terms of current situation on the crypto market when people have to build their own bridges to bridge some funds from, for example, one chain EVM compatible to another one, and could they really simple transfer their whole idea to Cosmos and make it like and use IBC for their own purposes? Is it simple for like developers to, for example, one day they are seeing some hack,
Mm-hmm.
and they have thought like maybe I need to build something safe for
Yeah.
my users, customers, etc. And I already have some code written,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe I would like use Cosmos or something like that. Is it possible for them to transfer?
It's possible, and it's quite hard. So the reason that it's quite hard is the bottom layer of the IBC stack, the clients.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's ask it in another way. If it's quite hard, will it be easier
getting easier every day, getting much easier every day.
And it's like a kind of part of the way of Cosmos contributors to make this like switch easier for.
Yes, I mean, I would say that that's just absolutely and plainly our desire, right? So, I mean, all of the people working on and in Cosmos have different interests, right? You ask me, what's your big dream, and I'm like, self-governing areas of land, right? And I don't think that everybody has the same dream project, but I do think that everybody's really aligned on making secure IBC viable and easier to use. I will now toss out some praise to people who have made really big contributions to that. So, first of all, to the IBC team. So, right now, IBC is being developed by a team called IG Interchain Gamba, and I feel like they're doing really fantastic work. Now, if we go past that, the next really big innovation is probably out of Strangelove, and that is the Wasm IBC client. It's a powerhouse because previously you couldn't update the client itself if you needed to without upgrading the whole chain. And now that we have the Wasm IBC client, you can actually do that. So when we upgrade one of these chains, right, the community computer has to go down and then come back up. But basically, they've taken the flexibility of Cosm Wasm and then applied it to the IBC stack, and that's how Composable was built. So you had basically like, the years of research on making IBC secure. You had Composable's research on porting IBC to the Polkadot ecosystem. Now we'd have to ask Composable, but I believe that really took off because they wanted interoperability between substrate chains and did the research, did the work, found IBC to be the best, and then ported the IBC protocol to substrate using Rust. And all of this came together in, Composable's Cosmos chain. So all these pieces were finally clicked together, and what this led to was, well, now we have IBC between, it's crazy, it's IBC between Polkadot, Kusama, and Centauri, the composable chain. And there's dot on osmosis, there's different Polkadot ecosystem assets that are coming to osmosis as well. And so like I think this is the best example of replacing like a multi-sig bridge. In fact, osmosis is going to make the canonical form of Polkadot on osmosis. The form of Polkadot that does not go through like the Axelar solution, but instead goes directly through IBC. And all this is about trust assumptions in a weird way. The chains demand proof from each other. They're not actually assuming that the other chain that they're talking to should be trusted. And so they... So back to your question about making this easier. There are a couple of tools that have recently been developed to make this easier. One of these is the Wasm client. Another one of these is Interchain Test. And I think that the whole ecosystem is strongly aligned on making this stuff work. To my knowledge, currently there's, I think it's 3, I may forget the name of the third project, but you've got composable, you've got Polymer. I wish they would change the name because I always want to say Polygon, but they're Polymer. And working on IBC into Ethereum. And by the way, I think that's sort of the big thing.
I saw recently like a roadmap for IBC to Ethereum, Polkadot, Bitcoin, Near, or some kind of that, and they are working on that stuff currently, right?
Yeah, we'll never really be able to IBC to Bitcoin.
Never able.
Never able. It's a probabilistic system, so we'll have to use a bridge. Actually, this may interest you. The bridge, though, doesn't need to be a multi-sig bridge. That bridge can be a chain. And then everybody who talks to that chain can have the security of IBC. And you were asking about Nomic, is it still being developed? To me, the answer is a clear, hard yes. And, well, why is it going so slowly? Well, to me, the answer to why development on Nomic is relatively slow is I think they're being extremely careful. Because that one's going to be probably the most picky.
Sure. And could you tell in like 1, 2, 3 sentences why regular developer should consider Cosmos and develop and make some code on Cosmos instead of other chains, or if it's like a developer, why he should or her to choose the Cosmos SDK and Cosmos infrastructure to build their own product on chain, or to like leverage security from Cosmos Hub or other stuff.
Yes. Because if you want to build a decentralized application, there's no faster or safer way. That's why.
Okay, so let's make some kind of short questions, short answers.
Okay.
Only like in a one sentence.
Sure.
Tell us what's missing in Cosmos and what might be developed and changed for Cosmos ecosystem itself.
Okay. I would say that right now it's really IBC to Ethereum. Yeah. And what might be developed? IBC to Ethereum. I mean, I could also say that having additional virtual machines or improving CosmWasm is quite interesting too.
Not other solutions like for bringing users only like code related.
Well, I feel that, like, let's take the ETH IBC example, okay? My feeling is that we do that, it's just going to be a floodgate.
Okay, it's floodgate for which applications?
Hell, let's do the controversial one, right? DYDX.
It's not recently launched, but okay.
Oh, it will. It will.
Okay. But it would be like something new in Cosmos, and at this moment we don't have like many different chains to attract users, like GameFi or some kind of.
We have the most chains.
Okay.
Okay, GameFi. All right, this is a really this is a hot one. Look, when we finally get it right.
Yeah, we definitely will get it. I also spoke with guys from. You heard about QWOYN chain? They built a Cosmic Horizon product. They building like a game modules to like. Have you played Dungeons and Dragons? Maybe once. Yeah. And they are making like modules, especially on Cosmos SDK to like as like a overseer to like.
Wait, they're gonna make a D&D chain.
Yeah, they make it on their own chain, and nice. they make some modules to like control all things that are currently happening in the game.
Yeah.
So you would be able to, for example, if you have a PvP with some player might think, oh, I will just drop out and I won't lose this battle. But this module will track the statement of these two persons, and if they joined, even if he leave this battle, he will lose because he won't do any actions. And these models will track like different kinds of assets on persons, assets on different like markets in the space, and so on and so on. So it's like very interesting, I think.
This is why to use the Cosmos SDK,
Yeah.
by the way, because they didn't have to focus on building the fundamental blockchain technology. They got to focus on building
Models.
gaming technology. Exactly. And that's a really excellent example. Also, I think that one day there will be a game chain that, I mean, billions and billions of dollars. I don't know which one it is, and I don't know when it'll happen.
Which big project will join the like Cosmos?
Well,
okay, let's. I will ask a little bit different.
yeah.
Will Uniswap join and accept the Cosmos?
I'm not sure about that. You know, Uniswap has tied itself closer to Ethereum. Do you know about the protocol hooks in?
Yeah.
You do,
yeah.
in V4. Okay, so like we can actually see that ETH is becoming kind of like a Uniswap centric app chain. In that, you know, changes were made to Ethereum for Uniswap. So I guess with Uniswap, I'd say no, but I would add a detail. Okay, I would say that IBC will come to Ethereum, and then given that applications in Cosmos will be able to securely communicate with Ethereum, a really good example of this actually is you know, Sommelier.
Not really.
Okay, it's a chain that.
Sommelier.
Yeah. Okay.
Fund management or
exactly.
Yeah.
So like, Uniswap didn't really come to Cosmos in that case, but what actually happened is Cosmos came to Uniswap because that chain will you know, manage automatically your Uniswap positions.
That's great.
Yeah.
Next question is: will we have next bull run in crypto?
Yes.
How to get more funds in Cosmos?
Keep doing what we're doing, building infrastructure.
Build this IBC to Ethereum.
Yes, absolutely. So I mean, well, there's the build this IBC to Ethereum. There's get, you know, a secure solution for bringing in Bitcoin, but I guess I might have a unique view. I see so much development happening on unreleased products. So if we keep doing what we're doing, we will get there.
Should products like Persistence, Yumi, and other consider to move to Cosmos side chain? I would say, I forget the
to ICS.
Yeah, to ICS.
I mean, they should consider it if it's to their benefit. So basically, you know, I think.
Sorry for interrupting. I heard about Persistence, Yumi, and Stargaze currently considering this point.
And I actually think that all of those chains are likely to benefit from those moves. Now, I can't say for sure that it'll work out in the long run, right? Or that all of them will move, but like if we look at Umi, yeah, that adds something natural to the suite of applications around the hub. We look at Stargaze, I feel the same way. We look at Persistence, I also feel the same way.
Maybe we will have a conversation with them if they will join Atom Bali.
They will. They'll be there. Yeah. That'll be really. Oh, dude, that'd be great. Let's do it.
They look like a chain in comparison to other. They doing good,
dude.
It looks like they have strategy, at least.
Absolutely. And in fact, let me just say that at one point, I had lost all hope in that chain. That is absolutely no longer the case. They are just driving ahead with software development and also pushing very hard to, really try new techniques in liquid staking. Yeah, huge supporter of the direction they've taken recently, man.
Last two questions. One is what goal you should achieve to say I'm done, everything is perfect, I could like drop out my keyboard and just
Can it be silly?
okay.
Well, I mean, first of all, the the land thing. I would need to get, a self-sovereign land system going. I would feel very satisfied. But there's actually another thing as well. I, I want to buy a blimp. I assume that if I ever was able to buy a blimp, and of course, pay for the blimp's maintenance and such, and float around the world with my family, you know what? Here's the thing. I don't think I would put the keyboard down. I'd probably just do stuff from the blimp. But I mean, so I suppose we have a product goal, the land stuff, and a personal goal. I really do want to float around the world on a blimp. I think that would be awesome.
And last one, please tell like kind of advice for those people who will watch this video,
Yeah,
maybe to how to like join the movement, or maybe like just your own thoughts.
I'll take two directions. All right. If you're an engineer, I would say contribute. So if you're doing software engineering, check out the stack and figure out how to make contributions, even if they're small. My first contribution was seriously like to the README file of Tendermint. Not big, and once you start to do that, you sort of get engaged in this cycle of contributing and building, and it's really great. So that's what I'd say to the engineering audience. Now, what I would say to somebody who's interested in crypto, doesn't, really quite know what to do, I would start to play with Osmosis or the Cosmos Hub, and probably Osmosis first. And the reason for that, Osmosis is very easy. Now, please keep in mind, no financial advice. Please keep in mind, I shared, seriously, the first token I ever bought, I was rugged like crazy. So I can't like
don't bring your money there, just ask in communities, give me some like coins to like interact with. Many faucets are
oh, I mean,
available for
it's
that.
Osmosis then, because from Osmosis you can go to the whole Cosmos, and there's not really another place in Cosmos that can do that. Although, if trading NFTs is interesting, Stargaze is a really solid, in my mind, number two for ease of use. I enjoy it a lot.
I enjoy OmniFlakes because of its infrastructure solutions for different kinds of NFTs actions and other stuff. But it's more like for builders to like implement OmniFlakes solutions to make like some kind of payments and like block by block payments. It's incredible, I think. And also I very love to see how their like OmniFlix TV will work.
Dude, I've seen it. I've seen it. It's I mean, and this was 6 months ago, but that team's background is very interesting. They really do come from like sort of old school media community in India. What I mean is like, television, movies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
To be clear, we want to like discuss every project in Cosmos, but we don't have like enough time. We have like
yeah, there's 70 of them.
yeah, and like most of them are like have some time to discuss.
Yeah,
and they like already like took our attention, and they are like I really don't remember this word, but it's okay.
Okay, that's all right. But yeah, it's actually maybe this is a notable thing. If you're looking at the market of cryptocurrencies, I don't know if this is a good closing point or what, but if you're looking at the market of cryptocurrencies, I don't believe anything is growing as fast as Cosmos. I really don't. Bear market, whatever. We've gone from 5 or 6 chains 2 years ago when Osmosis launched to 70. I don't see that slowing. I do see it speeding up. I'm freaked out when I go to ping.pub and I see how many chains there actually are, and I'm just like, holy shit, how did we do this?
I think that Ping Pop is kind of Cosmos meme for like new chains. It's like many forks of Ping Pop.
Oh yeah,
Join on the new chain.
I love his Explorer, and I actually have a call with him this week. Yeah.
And how it is?
With Ping of Ping Pub. Ping is his name.
No. You already had, or
coming this week.
right.
I forget when, but yeah.
Will you have a recording of that?
No,
Or
but
it's
we could
private one.
Well, I would say it's neither private nor public. He applied to Notional's delegation program.
It's regular.
Yeah, it's regular. I don't know. Like what I could do though is we could make it recorded. I'd love to do that because his Explorer is unique in that it is completely open source. It's completely forkable. So many chains, I don't know if they really could have launched right without it. Dig is an example of that, actually.
Could it be like the best advertisement video for Cosmos?
Dude, I mean, I hope so.
Let's make another one a little bit later.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.